Let's talk about the artist Carla Gerard and take a look at her beautiful works of art. Check them out. They are filled with amazing patterns. And I want you to look closely at these patterned landscapes because you are going to be creating something very similar. Look carefully at how Carla uses horizontal lines, curved lines, and even some vertical lines to break up the space or composition of her artwork. From there, she fills in those shapes that she's created with a variety of patterns. Like I said, look closely. That's going to be the first phase of your masterpiece. Once you've created a wide array of patterns and painted them in, then we're going to learn how to create our own houses. These little houses are going to help us show space, which is an element of art in our masterpiece. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's first talk about how to create our landscape. You'll begin with a white sheet of paper. I'm going to have mine run horizontally or landscape style, but you can have yours vertical if you'd like. We're using oil pastels, and your first step is, like I said, to break up the space. This will make it so you have shapes to put your patterns in. Sometimes you can use curved lines, horizontal lines, vertical lines. The choice is yours, but I must warn you that every space you create will be filled with a pattern created by you. So if you make exactly 3,000 trillion million separate little lines, then you can only imagine how many patterns you'll be making. That's 3 million trillion, whatever number I just said, you get the point. So break up your space, and you might even want to go over your lines a couple of times to build up the oil and the oil pastel. Each separate section will have a different pattern in it. Remember, a pattern is something that repeats over and again. So every time you settle on a pattern for an area, you'll be repeating that pattern throughout the entire space. So make sure it's something that you can continue to draw. Also, you're going to need to think about a different pattern for each separate section. Say, what? That's right. Because variety is the spice of life. It's also a principle of art. So take your time, check out the idea pattern sheet if you need ideas, and then go to town, Charlie Brown. You'll notice that I am mostly drawing patterns. I'm not spending much time, if any, coloring in any of my patterns. The reason is because those blank areas where the white paper is still showing will be filled with watercolor paint. So if you're going to color in some of your patterns, that's fine. Just don't color them in too much. Leave some blank areas for your watercolor paint. Once your pattern designs are complete, we will begin to add watercolor. All right, so oil pastels have oil in them. Oil and water, they don't mix. What that means is that by using these oil pastels, the oil will push the water off. So wherever you have drawn with your oil pastels, we will still be able to see it because it will push the watercolor paint off. Let me show you. Remember, when you're using watercolor paint, you need to wet each little pan of water to wake up the paint. All right, so do you see what I'm talking about? You can still see my lines because the oil in the oil pastel is pushing the water right off. It's a resist. Here's what I like to do when I'm picking out my watercolors for each area. I like to think opposites. And by that, I mean this. If I used a dark color oil pastel in an area, then I'll use a light color paint. Right here, I used bright and light orange, so I went with a dark and bold green. And notice how it really creates a contrast and allows my oil pastel to really shine through. So think about that before you paint. You also probably won't want to use the same color watercolor paint as you have on there for oil pastel. Meaning, if I drew with a yellow oil pastel, I probably won't paint it yellow because, as you can imagine, it just won't show up. Don't forget to wash your brush every time you get ready to change colors. That way your watercolor tray doesn't get mixed up. You will be painting in each section. You won't have enough watercolors to paint each section a different color, but you'll definitely want to consider using a variety of colors. That will make your masterpiece much more interesting. Once your masterpiece is completely filled in and looking mighty colorful, I must say, then you're ready to put it aside and create some houses for your landscape. So let's talk about it. Your first step is to take a piece of cardboard and cut a diagonal, flip it over, and another diagonal. That will be the roof for your house. To give it a little bit of a texture, use the flat side of your oil pastel and just kind of color it in. That'll add color and texture, 2 elements of art. From there, you can add a little bit of paint. I like to use a letter A to show the roof, and then I'm going to fill in the rest of the roof with a horizontal line and fill it in. If you paint thickly and quickly and work while your paint is still wet, you can even use the back of your brush to draw cool texture lines into the roof of your house. From there, you can add, a little door, probably even a window. You'll notice I'm using a small paintbrush because what I'm painting, y'all, is pretty tiny. So make sure you have the right brush for the job. Don't forget to always clean your brush before changing colors. When your house is complete, then you can bust out everybody's favorite, puffy paint. When you're using the puffy paint, remember to practice on your little practice paper. As you can see, I did above with 3 little dots. You're using lines or dots with the puffy paint. Please do not use the puffy paint to fill in entire areas. It's for, say it with me, lines and dots only. That's right. When one snazzy house is complete, let's make another. Let's go over that one more time really fast. 2 diagonal lines, scoot those out of the way. Use the oil pastel, color baby color. Making sure it's on its side, now let's paint. You could do your roof totally differently if you want to. Use the back of your brush to add a texture if you like. Don't forget to add a door and a window anytime, Miss Stevens. There you go. Beautiful pink door. Who doesn't want a pink door on their house? Don't forget to add a couple of windows and to clean your brush before changing color, baby, color. Also, puffy paint. Remember, practice with 3 dots first. We do that to make sure the puffy paint is coming out correctly, not too fast and not too slow. Don't forget also that we are only creating dots or lines with the puffy paint. Now, when you make your houses, you'll want to make some houses that are big. You'll want to make some houses that are medium-sized and other houses that are small. Again, that V word, variety, is perfect because then we will have some houses that will be appropriate for the foreground or the front of our landscape, the middle ground, and then tiny houses like those for the background. Once your houses and your painting are dry, you can start laying your houses out. You'll notice I put the biggest ones in the foreground, the medium-sized ones in the middle, tiny ones in the back. Now we're going to make them pop out. So to do that, you'll need to glue a little piece of foam board to the back. I want my houses in the foreground to really pop out. So I'm not going to glue just 1 piece of cardboard. I'm going to glue 2. That'll really help my house stand out and show that it's in the foreground. For the rest of my houses, well, if they're not in the foreground, I will probably just add 1 piece of the foam board. Make sure you pick a direction for your foam board to go that'll provide your house with the most amount of contact, meaning the most amount of foam board is touching the house. You shouldn't see any of the board from the front, so make sure that you test that out, and if you need to, use scissors to cut it a little bit smaller. For those houses in the background, you're probably going to need to trim the little pieces of foam down a little bit. They cut pretty easily with scissors. Like I said, when you do this, make sure we can't see any of that white board sticking out. If it's a house in the foreground, don't forget to add 2 little boards to help it really pop out. Now this glue will need a little bit of what we call grab time. So if it doesn't stick right away, it doesn't necessarily mean it needs more glue. It might mean that you need to massage it a little bit more and give it more grab time. All right, here's one of those smaller pieces, and I'm just trimming away so that it fits on the back of my small house. Oh, guys, I'm so excited about these landscapes with these pop-out houses, but let's be honest, I'm mostly excited because we get to use puffy paint. I can't wait to see what you create. So let's dive in and get started.